Hi! Welcome everyone and welcome Samantha.
Thank you.
Welcome to the body. Oh my God, already even just the name of the podcast. You can tell we haven't done any grounding exercise yet, but we're going to do in a second. Welcome everyone to the Body Talks podcast. I'm here with Samantha Baines, who is an award-winning author, comedian, writer, broadcaster, actress, designer as well.
Yeah.
I found out recently, and advocate for deaf
Awareness. Deaf and disability awareness.
Deaf and disability awareness. Samantha, we met basically last week,
Yeah.
and already was a match. I was like, okay, perfect. We got along really well. We were at the Unhidden fashion show that is an adaptive brand by Victoria Jenkins, who's also a guest of this podcast. And I thought you were amazing, and I thought that everyone needs to know you. Everyone that I know that is in my contacts and everyone that listens to this podcast needs to know you and your story as well. And we don't know each other yet, but I want to get to know you more through this conversation. So thank you so much for taking the time to come here today and share your beautiful, amazing self with us.
Thank you. Now, you say we don't know each other yet, but we did sit in an Uber in silence eating because we both needed some quiet time and we agreed to it. And I feel like that's a good level of getting to know someone.
You know what? You are right. I do agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there is already this level of confidence in a way between us. It's true. Let's start with the audio description for the people that can't see us. And would you like to start first?
Yeah. So I am 5'6", but apparently I have a tall essence. And I have very dark brown hair. I'm a white woman. I'm deaf, so I wear 2 hearing aids with hearing aid jewellery. I have red lipstick on, I think, is dark red. And normally pink eyeshadow today is no exception. I'm also fabulously dressed as always. And I'm wearing a rainbow velvety dress because we are recording on Bisexual Visibility Day.
Whoop, whoop.
And I'm wearing black chunky boots with diamante on them.
You look fabulous, and I'm so excited to talk to you for an hour looking like this. Thank you for your description. I am 5'9", tall, curvy, white woman with brunette hair, a bit messy and tucked into the shirt. I am wearing a white shirt with a pussy bow, I think it's called like that, wrapped around my neck, and a fabulous suit, red suit, head to toe. And that's pretty much it. I also have a dark red lipstick and some mascara, and I'm not wearing any jewelry today. But yeah, my smile is my jewel.
Nice. I'm wearing a lot of jewellery, which I didn't mention apart from the hearing aids. And I'm curvy too. Yay.
Yay! Fantastic. Then the first exercise, it's a body scan. I mean, it's the only exercise, but I love to start with a body scan because I love the idea of connecting with our bodies and our feelings before any conversation and before any deeper getting to know each other. Usually I invite everyone to close their eyes before doing this, but aware of your hearing aids and your lip reading, I will not ask you to close your eyes just yet, but we can do some breathing together and then ask you in your own time to close your eyes and connect with your body, if that's okay with you.
Sounds great.
Fantastic. For anyone that feels and can close their eyes, I invite you to do so and breathe with us so you connect also with your body, and then we start our beautiful conversation afterwards. Okay, so it's 3 breathings, and 4 seconds we breathe in, we inhale, 4 we stay, and then 8 we exhale. So it's going to be 3 times. So we inhale, hold for 4, and exhale for 8. Second time. We hold and exhale for 8. And last one, inhale for 4. Hold and let it all out. And now that we feel a little bit more grounded, I invite you to close your eyes for a few seconds. How long you need, and then connect and see if there is any body part that is knocking and want to say something to you at this moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do the same.
It's funny that you said, is there a body part that's knocking? Because I literally feel like my ovaries are always like sending me messages and like knocking, like, hi, we're ready to bleed, or whatever it is. But yeah, I feel like they're like, we're nearly ready to go. We're just letting you know we're creating some bloating right now for you. I hope you enjoy that, is what they're saying. I hope you enjoy the cravings at random times to eat lots of food, because we're ready to expel some. I guess it's more the womb, but I feel like it's the ovaries sending the message.
Wow, this is crazy, because usually I don't think about my message while I connect with the guest, but same, my left ovary was the one sending me the message,
Yeah.
knocking me like boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom. We're bleeding. We're pumping the blood for you. Go, womb, go. Like, I was like, yeah, thank you. I know it.
Yeah, I feel like my left one is more dominant in speaking as well. But then every so often, like the right one chips in. It's like, yeah, me too. You know, like the fun, like if they were Ant and Dec, my ovaries. I guess Ant and Dec don't really speak more than one another, but like there's normally one of them when they're presenting, it's like the speaker and the other one's like the funny one. So I feel like the left one is the like in charge one, and the right ovary,
Definitely.
Dec, I'm going to call it, is it's chipping in.
Definitely. And you know, recently I was in a group of sharing of women about wombs and wisdom and blood and everything. And I found out that actually every cycle, there is one ovary that does the job and the other one rests. And then the
Yes.
following cycle is the other one, and then one rests. And like they take turns. And actually, I didn't know that. I found it very fascinating that one actually prevails at different time in the cycle.
I didn't know that until quite recently, because I have polycystic ovaries. Oh my God, I'm talking about my body already. I have polycystic ovaries, and it's the remit of the podcast. And so sometimes I have periods every month,
Yeah.
but sometimes only have a period every 2 months. So one ovary is like working more than the other, but it changes because, you know, Dec loves to chip in sometimes.
I love that. Also, I have polycystic ovary syndrome too. We have so much
Oh
in
my
common.
gosh.
Whoa. Yeah, I had periods. I have times in the past where I actually had gaps of like 5-6 months. And then luckily I'm doing work in rebalancing my hormones and looking after myself and everything. So now they're more regular, but they just do what they want.
Oh my God.
Just
So
wild.
I'm the opposite. I once had a period for 10 weeks. Yeah. When I was in secondary school, and you know when you're like fairly new to periods, and it wasn't my first period, but I was new to the whole shebang, and I was like, is this normal? Like, does everyone have this? Why is it? And I think I must have waited like 6 weeks before I told my mum, because I was just like, I don't know if this is the norm or if I'll just keep, you know, using tampons and pads. And then I told my mum, and then that's when she took me to the doctor, and then that's when we discovered I had polycystic ovaries.
Wow.
Yeah, but 10 weeks is a long time
Wow. Yeah, it's insane
of
time.
period.
How did you cope with it? Were you worried? Were you like scared? Did you just get used to it?
I think because I didn't know, I just thought, this is probably fine.
Right.
And then it got to the stage where I was like, I feel like other people's periods don't go on for this long. And also I was feeling so tired, right? Because I was losing a lot of blood, and they had to check if I was anemic and stuff, and I wasn't. I was really tired all the time. So it did have a big impact. But then you see, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome, and then I went straight on the pill. So I was on the pill like way before I was like sexually active. And then all my friends started going on it when they were sexually active. And I was like, oh, hey. I've been on it for years. Let me tell you, all about forgetting a day. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I feel in a way like There are so many intersectionalities that I wanted to bring up and to ask you about, and your relationship with your body and with your career throughout your life story, considering all these intersectionalities. But now we're adding more that
Yeah.
probably have also contributed to your relationship with your body growing up until
Yeah.
now.
And also as a mum as well, because I had a baby 2 years ago, and I always assumed because I had PCOS that having a baby would be really hard for me and might not happen. And actually, I got pregnant really quickly. Like, we literally decide that feels like a brag, but it's not, because I mean, I've never got pregnant before when I was trying not to get pregnant. And then I decided with my partner, we decided, not me, that we wanted to have a baby. And literally within like a few goes,
Wow.
you know what I mean by goes,
Goes.
I got pregnant. And I was sort of thinking, what am I now? I'm 38 now, so I was 36 at the time. I was thinking, I'm 36, I've got PCOS. This might not happen, or it might take a long time. So it almost happened too quickly. I was like, I thought I had a year and a half to get used to this idea. But she's brilliant, and I'm glad it happened. But yeah, it happened very quick.
Wow. Because I'm 36 and I have polycystic ovaries.
Get
Now I was
ready.
a kid, and then maybe they're ready. You know, when I did my egg count, it looks like I'm very fertile, but at the same time, because we have a lot of cysts around our ovaries, it can be that. So you never really
Yeah.
quite know whether you're fertile or you're just not really able to conceive because they're gonna fight between each other. So it's really inspiring story. Sometimes we have less fortunate stories of pregnancy and IVF and stuff, and it's amazing to hear like a success story from a PCOS.
I mean, the pregnancy itself was terrible,
Okay.
but I got pregnant quick.
That's
So great. I'm also Irish, so my mum, we're half Irish, so my mum says it's because we're Irish, we're very fertile, like the ground. Like, we're good at growing potatoes and babies. That's what we do. But yeah, so she contributes it to that. But I'm also, being Irish, I have dark hair and I burn easily. Those are the other things it brings.
well. Beautiful.
You know, so much
Beautiful.
fun.
I love Irish people. I feel like we're really vibing. I'm Italian, so I think Irish and
Yes.
Italian, they have this kind of like,
We like food. We like dancing in a pub stroke bar.
it's a match. Okay, where to start? I would love to hear like your story and what brought you here today. As I was mentioning, like aware of all these intersectionalities and aware of different elements that shaped your identity up until now. Would you like to share with us maybe, because sharing your story is not something you can do in an hour, but like maybe some important points that for you are significant in understanding some aspects of yourself? Like, for example, is bisexuality Awareness Day. So when did you find out that you were bisexual? I read that you've been diagnosed with being deaf like later in life, 29, 30 years old. We talked about polycystic ovaries since very young. I don't want to create a narrative for you, but how all these elements interconnected with you and your thriving on a stage and all the rest you do. I mean, I want to get to know you. Tell us more.
Yes, so I have lots of tick boxes, I call them. So people in HR will be really pleased with me because I'm ticking a lot of boxes. I'm deaf, I have hearing aids, and I lip read, and I'm learning British Sign Language. I'm divorced, happily divorced, and I'm with my partner now, and we're not married. I'm bisexual, which I'll come to all these. I'm a mum and I have ADHD as well. I always use ADHD as an excuse as to why I do all the things I do. Before you said, I'm an author, presenter, actor, broadcaster, podcaster, designer. I have ADHD, so that's why my brain needs to keep creating things. Otherwise, I'll explode. So yeah, I think big points in my life have been, I didn't mention this one actually, but my dad passed away and I was on my hen do when I found out. Yeah. My life is, I did stand-up comedy for 7 years and my life is a little bit like a sitcom at times, like a sad but funny sitcom. So my dad died on my hen do. He wasn't with us on the hen do, I should say. It wasn't like such a wild hen do that my dad died. I was on the hen do with like my girlfriends and my family. and he was in a care home at the time because he wasn't very well, and the butler in the buff had just left. So the butler in the buff wears like an apron and has his bum out and like serves you drinks. That's what my friends got me instead of like a stripper. Classy. And the butler in the buff had just left, and I had a missed call, and it was the care home saying my dad had died. That was on my hen do, and obviously I went into my wedding day not having my dad there. And the traditional, in inverted commas, thing of a wedding of like your dad walks you down the aisle and stuff. Obviously I didn't have that, and on the morning of my wedding I put my wedding dress on and cried because my dad wasn't there. And I actually think going to counselling and dealing with the grief of my dad dying sped up the divorce process, because I realised a lot about myself and my life and what I wanted, and that it was really important to choose me and my happiness. So that led to the divorce, which was a mutual decision. I was with my ex for 10 years. It's obviously incredibly hard when you get divorced. You lie on the floor crying, but it's also really freeing. So that's when I kind of came out as bisexual, which is something I told my partner when we were together. And then I had a sexual explosion, I call it, where I had a lot of fun. And at the time I was hosting a show called Magic Mike Live, directed by Channing Tatum, in the West End, as you do. So it was me and 15 semi-naked professional dancers. And for a lot of the show, I had a relationship with a woman who worked in the crew on the show.
Love that for you.
So that was interesting. And another fun thing about that show, which we can touch on later, is really it was the first time that audience members really commented on my body. Up until then, I'd done stand-up, an actor in period dramas and all sorts of things. And no one had ever really made me aware of my body when they gave me feedback on those roles. Whereas I think because I was the only woman in the show in Magic Mike, there was a female dancer as well, but I was kind of hosting the show, talking direct to the audience, which was majority women. And then there were all these very attractive, very fit and healthy, brilliant dancers. And I was talking about sexuality and like reclaiming that and feeling sexy and confident. Women would say to me, it's so nice to see a bigger girl on stage. It's so nice to see a curvy girl on stage. We don't see enough people with your figure on stage. And it was interesting because to begin with, I didn't like it. I was like, why are they telling me why don't they just say I really enjoyed the show or you were really funny? And it was actually a friend of mine who said, it's not actually about you. They're not actually commenting on your figure. It's about their experience in the theatre, and the experience they've had in the past is not seeing someone like them on stage. Mm-hmm. And now they're excited. They want to tell you about it. And that sort of really changed my view a lot of my body. Just before that, I found out I was deaf and got hearing aids and realised that I'd been lip reading for a number of years, probably since I was at school. So again, that changed a view that I had of myself and like my internalised prejudice against disability and deafness. I also discovered I had ADHD, but I'd thought for a long time I had it. So that was actually a kind of rejoice moment and a joy moment, because I was like, finally, there's an answer to all these things. And then the other thing, I guess, which was a milestone along my journey, was having a baby. And the way I felt about my body when I was pregnant was very impactful. And my daughter was born with congenital heart disease, and we were in hospital for 3 months, and she had open heart surgery at 10 weeks old. And actually, that was the first time, even though my dad had passed away and stuff, it was the first time I was confronted with the fact that your health is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And actually, why am I worrying about going on a diet or fitting into those jeans? If I'm healthy, that's all that matters. If I'm here, if my body's working the way it should do. And by that, I don't mean working the way it should is, if it's disabled, it's not working the way it should. I literally mean working the way it should, as in keeping me alive. Then that's really the most important thing.
Yeah.
So that's a whistle-stop tour.
Wow. Thank you for sharing all these things. It's really interesting when you said that it's about the experience of the people on stage seeing you and seeing them represented from you, by you, because it brings me to the topic of representation. And for you being an advocate for deaf and disability awareness, I think it also plays a part in like knowing that when you show up for a lot of people, and you show a positive example of what it means to be fabulous, but also with a disability, you know. And how did you start your advocacy journey as well? Has it started, do you think, already being an actor and being on stage without you realizing it? Or, I don't know, where did you actively decide to speak up and talk about highlight all these?
Yeah, I think discovering that I was deaf, particularly I realised that, you know, I was 29 and I'd gone for a hearing test because I thought, oh, it sounds silly, but it's true. I thought I had a spider living in my ear because I thought I was going to be like the subject of a weird documentary where they're like, and then all these things started crawling out of her. But because I was going to like loud bars, and every time it was a bit too loud, I'd hear a noise in my ear that was like a scrabbling noise. And I thought, it's obviously like an insect in there and it doesn't like the loud noise, so it's scrabbling around. So I also have anxiety, which is part of the ADHD. But so I thought I had a spider living in my ear. So I went to the GP and I was like, I think there's a spider in my ear. Can you check? She was very nice. She checked, there was nothing there. Phew. But then she sent me for a hearing test to check it wasn't anything else. And at the time I was like swimming a lot and I thought, oh, maybe it's water on my ear. And I genuinely thought like she was going to get some sort of bonus for sending me. Like it was a new initiative where they send everyone for a hearing test or something. So I was like, okay, fine. And I always say to people, in a hearing test, you can't hear what you can't hear. That sounds straightforward, but in an eye test, you can see that you can't see.
Yeah.
Like you can see that the bottom line is blurry. But you don't really get that in a hearing test. So they put you in a little box, not like female comedians only talk about their periods, which I have already, an actual box. And you got headphones on and you have a clicker.
Right.
And every time they play a noise, you click the clicker, and that's how it works. And it's like a reverse weather girl, which also sounds like a sexual position, but I'm not aware of what that is sexually. But that's a hearing test. I'm quite competitive, and it felt like a game. So I felt like I was winning and that I was going to come out and they'd be like, you've beat the hearing test, and like engrave my name on a board. But actually I came out and they were like, you have hearing loss in both ears and it's bad enough on one side that we think you need a hearing aid. So it was a proper, like the sign language for shocked is, and I loved that, jaw drop. It was a proper moment because I did not expect it. And then looking back, there were plenty of times that I couldn't hear and other people could hear, or that I was lip reading. But when it's just your everyday life, you know, and especially when I was younger, I just thought, oh, that's just the way things are. I never thought I might be deaf. I can't remember what the original question is, but
is about representation and being an advocate. When did you start officially kind of like identifying yourself as such?
Yes. So the reason then I started talking about it was I was doing stand-up at the time. So, you know, my life was material. So I started talking about it because of that. But then also it was the fact that at 29, I felt at the time, which wasn't true, I felt that I'd never met another person who was in my situation, who was my age and deaf, or was my age with hearing aids. And I didn't feel like anyone was talking about it. And I didn't feel like I had any role models. And actually, 18 million people in the UK have some form of hearing loss or deafness. That's 1 in 3. So I absolutely had met those people. And actually, when I started talking about it, someone I knew really well said to me in a work capacity, was like, I have hearing aids, by the way. And we just never, like, she'd never come out and told me, and we'd never really talked about it. And so it sort of I used to call myself an accidental activist. I mean, I'm trying harder at it now, but originally it was literally just I felt like I had to, because I didn't want anyone else to feel alone like I first did, because I had my hearing test in Stratford near Westfield Shopping Centre in London, and I was so overwhelmed by my diagnosis that I went and cried, and the only place I could find was the place where they store the bikes just outside Westfield Shopping Centre. So I had a cry in there, and a woman walked in at one point and made eye contact with me and then just backed away slowly. It was so British. And I want to meet her one day, because I'm like, what did she think was going on with me? Just like surrounded by bikes, crying, like I got a puncture. So yeah, so I feel like the advocacy started because I sort of thought I had to talk about it, because I didn't want anyone else to feel like me. And then it turned into, I realised I could help people, and it made an impact on people's lives, and we always want to make an impact, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that's why I started writing my books. So then I wrote 2 children's books with deaf protagonists, and I became ambassador of the Royal National Institute for Deaf People. I'm also an ambassador for the NSPCC now. And then I wrote my book, Living with Hearing Loss and Deafness, to kind of be that book that people can turn to when, like me, you discover, you're deaf and you don't really know what that means for your life.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. And also, I think parents should read inclusive books to their kids, regardless of the condition, just to broaden their horizons. And I think I love that for all the kids that will be able to have your book in their bookshelf. They're gonna see how beautiful life can be. It's not regardless, with it. You know? It's not a regardless thing. It's with it.
Yeah, because I'm proud to be deaf. I love being deaf, and I love my hearing aids, and it's brought so much to my life. And a big part of that is the deaf community and how brilliant they are, and also British Sign Language. But one of my favourite things is my first book, Harriet versus the Galaxy, is about a little girl with hearing aids, and her hearing aids translate alien languages, and her gran protect the earth from aliens, obviously. But teachers get in touch with me when they have like a child with hearing aids in their class, and then the whole class read the book together. And so they're learning about hearing aids and also silly aliens. Like there's one alien with 2 bottoms, one for talking, one for farting, and they're called the Rombaddy Bum Bums. So I've had a fun time with it. But, so they're all like laughing and talking about space, but then also learning about being deaf and hearing aids. And that's brilliant when I meet kids with hearing aids and they're like, my whole class read the book and now they think my hearing aids are cool. I'm like, yeah, they are cool.
That is beautiful.
And I have hearing aid jewellery as well, which is extra cool.
Yeah, you said when we were saying hello before starting recording that your hearing aid feel like an extension of your ear, feel like an accessory, an extension of your ears in a way. It's really beautiful. I've never heard anyone saying it like this. And
yeah, because obviously I knew we were talking about body today. And yeah, definitely, because I was thinking about my ears and what my relationship with my ears is. Because when you're first introduced to deafness in a medical environment, they call it hearing loss. And that word loss obviously makes you think that you've lost something. But actually, I think I've gained so much more than I've lost being deaf, whether it's the deaf community, inspiration, British Sign Language, like the confidence to write a book. I thought old white men wrote books who were really posh and went to private school. And I didn't think that would ever be something I could do. But because I was deaf and I was like, right, well, I need to write a book so that deaf children have a book with a deaf main character. Like I just did it. So yeah, I've actually gained a lot more than I've lost. So I was like, how do I feel about my ears? Because some people might say my ears don't work properly. I think they work perfectly for me. But it actually made me think about, how much I love my hearing aids and how much of a part of my body they've become. And a lot of other disabled people say that as well, whether it's their mobility aids or, a prosthetic limb, that it's become part of them, and it's not like that's a piece of metal and this is me. It's all me. And I think that's a really lovely thing that comes from disability pride and deaf pride. And it's a journey to get there. Like, you don't wake up the day after you discover you're deaf and feel really proud. But yeah, it's amazing when you get there.
Amazing. How inspiring. Like, wow. Yeah. I hope this episode will be listened to so many people that will just, not just that, but that your work will be discovered by everyone because you're so inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing all this.
Yeah, of course.
So good. Yeah. With all of these, what are you most excited at the moment to work on? I know so many projects, but is there anything in particular that you would love to share with me today?
Oh, I don't know. I love writing children's books. So I've written 2 already and I'm working on another one at the moment. And books are interesting. It's funny, when I go into schools to talk to kids, because I always judge everything by children, because adults can be funny, can't they? But children are so honest. I love the questions that I get asked, like how much I get paid, what year I was born in, not even how old am I. Like I'm going to say like 1804. But yeah, so when I go in and talk to kids, they're way more impressed that I'm an author than anything else. If I'm like, I'm on telly, they're like, okay, because a lot of them actually are more interested in YouTube and how many followers you have and stuff. But when I say I've written books, they like hold my book in their hands and they're like, you did this, you wrote this book. I'm like, yeah, I can't believe it either. So that does make me really excited. And yeah, it's nice to, obviously doing all the telly bits are lovely, and I'm presenting at the moment and I'm trying to raise awareness through a lot of the things I do. So, you know, I do bits on the BBC around disability and deaf awareness. And that's really important to me. But yeah, I do love just writing a silly adventure story with a deaf main character and then going and talking to kids and making them giggle with aliens with 2 bums. And I'm still acting as well. And actually, I did do a period drama recently because when I first discovered I was deaf, I'd just done like The Crown and Call the Midwife, which is both set in the 1950s. And I thought, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do this anymore because I'm going to have a hearing aid that's modern. And so how am I going to be in a period drama in the 1950s with a modern hearing aid? And so I was thinking this whole avenue of my career is closed off to me. And I've always loved acting, and I, went to drama school and trained as an actor. And actually I did a period drama set in the 1950s for the first time since I got my hearing aids. And they got me a lip speaker on set. So a lip speaker is like a BSL interpreter, but for someone who's not fluent in BSL like me, so I'm still learning.
Yeah.
So a lip speaker repeats things you might not hear just with a really clear lip pattern and faces you so that I can then read it off the lip speaker's lips instead of the person. Because, people turn around, especially on set.
Yeah.
There's lots going on. So, yeah, they got me a lip speaker on set and I wore my hearing aids and it was set in the 1950s. And it just felt, I can't say what it is yet because it's not officially been announced, but it's a long running thing that you will have seen before. But it just felt like a real full circle moment for me that no one would necessarily know was one. But because I had all those thoughts of, I'm not going to be able to do this anymore. And then actually to do it in a really accessible way and really enjoy it. I play a bit of a dodgy character as well, so it's really fun. I had some good one-liners, like bullshit. Yeah, so that was really nice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I guess some people risk to also, as you said, think, okay, my career is over, confidence might drop. But then when you see that actually some productions are accessible and actually can look after your needs, you're like, oh, actually the confidence can stay because I can do it all and I'm smashing it. So it's so beautiful. Another success story of a good production that allows that. Fantastic.
And it's so nice to discover that as well. And to, because I was also presenting on the radio when I found out I was deaf. And I thought, you can't be a deaf radio presenter. I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. And actually, whenever I present now, or I have my own podcast. When I host my podcast, I either meet people in real life or I have them on like Zoom and then I can lip read. And also Zoom has automatic captions, which aren't always great, but it helps. And also, you know, things like Apple Podcasts now has live transcripts where it highlights the word as you're listening. Also, things are becoming much more visually accessible, but finding out that you can be a deaf radio presenter and a deaf interviewer. And also I've interviewed other deaf people. So I've interviewed Rose Ayling-Ellis on the radio, and all of that is possible.
Amazing. I love that. More positivity. Like, I love that. Thank you. When you were talking about writing the book and being really proud, I am aware that with the ADHD, especially, for example, I also have ADHD, and I struggle very much with like delivery and with like doing a lot, hyper focus, and then give up and not being able to just complete some tasks. So being an author and having delivered more than one book, I'm wondering, how do you manage ADHD and writing? And if you have any tips for people that have ADHD or any disability and feel that they can't write, but actually maybe there are tips that can help them write?
I would say you haven't seen all the books I've started and not finished on my laptop. But I think a really good tip for me is that I used to like handwriting and then typing it up. But then my issue with that is I'd like the process of handwriting, but then I'd get bored typing it up, and so I wouldn't finish it. So I taught myself to write like on my phone on Google Drive. And it means that I always have access to the story. So if I'm traveling anywhere, I write. And it's really great because it's like short bursts of writing. So you can just go into the document, pick up where you left off and add to it. Don't read, my advice for people with ADHD is don't read back what you've written before you start writing, because then you'll get focused in on that and editing that, and then you won't write anything new. So I read like the last page or something to get my head into it, and then I carry on writing. So just keep writing the whole story and then go back and edit it.
Okay.
Also, children's books are great. So I've done like chapter books in middle grade. So that's between like 8,000 and 35,000 words, which for me is much more achievable than like my non-fiction book is 80,000 words. So luckily with non-fiction, you pitch the idea first. So you have to do like quite a detailed whole plan of it. But then they say, yes, we want the book. And then you have like a deadline looming over you and an editor being like, have you written it? So that's quite a good way to encourage you to write it. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have got to 80,000 words.
Right.
So for me, I've sort of found a nice, comfortable place in children's books because they're a bit shorter. So I feel like I can bash it out. But people don't believe me in how quick I write. And I feel like they don't understand like ADHD hyperfocus.
Yeah.
Like we can get a lot done when we're in the right zone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do write quickly, but then it's important, the editing process and making it good. But also with books, like it's a big team effort. So once, you know, you're in that place of you're writing a book and you've got a book agent, you have a team around you that are going to help you edit it and make it better and give you feedback. So feedback is really useful. And also actually with ADHD, feedback helps me get interested in it again. So if I get bored I'm always writing 3 books at once.
Okay. Of course.
Yeah, because if I get stuck on one or bored of it, I just go to the other one. Because sometimes I'm still in a writing mood, but I'm just getting annoyed with that idea. So I keep going. And obviously ADHD, train of thought, I've forgotten what I was saying before. But yeah, team of people is useful.
Oh my God, I love that.
Does that help?
So much. Like
Okay.
hearing the process behind it, it's super, again, inspiring. I also was wondering, because I'm interested to write something, but I'm worried I won't be able to then deliver it because it's so much work between when you write and when you deliver. So this is super helpful and inspiring.
Also, you know, I've written half of a fiction book for adults that I haven't finished, and I've been adding to it for like 5 years. But also I would say all the things you start writing and don't finish are useful.
Okay.
Because you're developing your voice and you're developing like characters that might crop up again. You might just take it from that draft and actually put it into a finished book. And also the ideas that come back to me again and again tend to be the ones I finish. And the ideas that I've started, which is like, oh my God, so many. I have so many half-started stories. Sometimes they're useful and you can weave them into later books. So nothing's ever a waste. I think that's important because you feel like you failed sometimes if you haven't finished it.
Yeah.
And it's like hanging over you, but it's never a waste and you can always come back to it.
I love that. That's a mic drop moment for anyone that is into writing or, wow. Yes, it sounds great. And what did I want to say? I can't remember, but that is incredible. Thank you for this piece of advice. Yeah, I wanted to say that I love the system that you have with Google Docs in your phone, because I have some in notes, some of my journals. Choose one. Google Docs is the one that you can pick up from the laptop, from your phone, and you can just have everything in one place, and then you can start from there.
And also because I used to write in Word and then I lost a draft of a book, and because it was only saved on my laptop and I lost it, and then I even ended up like calling up Microsoft Word people and being like, is there any way you can get it back? And they were like, no. So then I was like, right, I'm going to write in a central hub that automatically saves my work. So that's why as well.
Love that. Thank you. While I listen to you and look at you, I keep looking at your dress. Like, I want to just give a highlight to this rainbow.
Okay.
Tell us more about fashion. Yes, because I also met you. You were wearing this amazing scarf, and you're like, you know what? I designed this.
Yeah.
So tell us more about this extra cherry on your creative cake.
Yeah, I mean, I love fashion. I love clothes. I have that typical ADHD thing of like becoming a bit obsessed with shopping and shopping too much. And so the way I've dealt with that is now I'm only allowed to shop secondhand, which is cheaper and also helps me feel like I'm like saving the environment. And you find more interesting things, I think, and put more things together. I'm trying to shop less at the moment, and I'm really enjoying like throwing things in my wardrobe together and in different ways. Like, I've not worn this shirt with this dress before. I love colour. Before I got divorced, I started, like when I was in the end of my relationship and I wasn't very happy, I was wearing a lot of like dark colours and quite, I don't know, like, I don't like the word frumpy, but like things that weren't very me and that didn't make me feel fabulous is what I'm going to call it. And I was going to say baggy clothes, but again, some baggy clothes I love. Like, I wear this without a belt, just baggy, but it's so bright and colourful that I still feel fabulous. Yeah. So now my thing is, do I feel fabulous? And that's what I really enjoy in putting things together. And as a creative person, I've always had a kind of eye for design. I like to think, whether it's designing an outfit or whatever it is. I'm also a businesswoman. So I own a social media marketing company called Penguin in the Room that's been going for 16 years. And I kept having this idea about stationery because I love stationery. And something to do with mental health, because I have ADHD, anxiety. People who are deaf are twice as likely to have mental health issues as hearing people. So there's a lot around that. And I've found writing to be really useful, and also junk journaling.
What's that?
So you collect like rubbish from your day. People might call it rubbish. So like, say you have a sandwich and the sandwich packet has a sticker on it, you take the sticker. Or you have a bottle of wine with a friend, you take the label of the bottle of wine. Or, you know, there's a leaflet from the podcast studio you went to, you take that, and then you stick it all. So you like cut it up or rip it up and stick it all in your journal. And what I love about that is it really gets me out of my head sometimes, when writing just makes me go round in my emotions a little bit. If I can like glue some stuff, it's really nice. And then I write a few sentences with it. So I wanted to come up with a stationery company that would and notebooks that would be good for junk journaling and have a mental health aspect. So I saw this study that said if you look at flowers, it reduces the stress in your body. It's been scientifically proven, just looking at them, not even smelling them. So I was like, how can I work that into a design? So I pressed the flowers, or get pressed flowers, because to begin with, I was very bad at pressing flowers and they disintegrated. I even tried in the microwave and I burnt some.
Oh no.
The internet said you can microwave them. I don't recommend it. And then I digitized the images of the pressed flowers and then I designed them into designs, and I've got them on notebooks and homeware. And then recently I tried as an experiment printing one of my designs on a 100% silk scarf. And it was a bit like, oh, you know, when you have a moment where you're like, this is something. I'm about to do a limited edition drop of my first 100% silk design scarves through Baines London, the company's called.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
We're going to add the link to that, to the podcast
Yeah.
episode for sure, to the notes.
you.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
exciting. And people now know all the background about it. I love that.
Yeah, I wanted it to have meaning and not just be pretty, because I like being pretty, but I also have meaning. So yeah, it's been a journey, but it's really fun. It's kind of another creative outlet.
I love that.
Yeah.
We never get bored, do we?
No. We have a lot going on, but it's good. We have a lot to talk about at parties.
I love that. I would love to know a little bit more about what it means to be a mom and your relationship with your daughter, but also I think we are of a generation, if we did some work on ourselves, that we are like breaking the generational trauma in a way, that anything that we heard or anything that our family passed down onto us and it didn't sit really well with us or caused any issues, we try to stop it and change the narrative for our children or people, younger people that are in our presence. And I don't know your daughter, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm sure that seeing how fabulous you are, like you're teaching her the best values. What's your relationship with her, and how are you noticing? I don't know if she's 2, right?
Yeah.
So maybe the relationship with the body is not clear yet. But do you? I don't know how you. I don't even know if you're planning to share anything with her. But is there anything already? Any first signs of like noticing anything?
Yeah, I think when I was growing up, I always felt fat, and fat meant a bad thing when I was growing up. And I know a lot of people embrace that word now, and I love that. And then I look back at images of myself, and there were periods of my life where I was really anxious and really quite thin. I look back now and think, but I always felt fat, and I felt that that was bad, and I felt that my body was bad and like something to be ashamed of or to make look different. And I really don't want that to be her experience. So, you know, when she's had a nice meal, a family member might make a comment about her having a big belly. And I'm always really sure to say, look at that lovely belly. And that, you know, we play a game where I show her my belly and she shows me her belly, and then she drums on my belly, and obviously it moves around when she drums, and she thinks it's really funny. And it's really nice to find that joy in it as well. And also the idea like that she grew in there has made me love my belly way more. And I think when I was pregnant was the first time in my life where I ate things without thinking about the cost, in inverted commas, of eating them to my body, like to calories and putting on weight. And that's really shocked me, because I would say that I'm someone who's quite, you know, at home with who I am and my shape. And, you know, I love my curves. I love having big boobs and a big bum. And, you know I'm curvy and I love that. And I've never taken drugs to slim yourself down or like gone on any obviously I've dieted before in my life, but I've never gone on like a drastic diet to really, really change my shape, because I've always thought that I felt quite comfortable with that. But actually being pregnant and for the first time, like people encouraging you to eat more and like celebrating your big belly because it has a baby in it was kind of wild and a revelation, really. And so actually I always try and remember, like today, I am due on my period and I'm bloated, and I was like, oh, my boobs look really big in this dress, and should I wear a belt with it? Is it more flattering? And then I try and remind myself, like, my body's done amazing things. And, whether you've had a baby or not, your body's done amazing things and is doing amazing things every day. It's keeping you alive. And I heard people say that before, but actually being pregnant and having that moment of just going, oh my God, I'm like properly embracing my body. And I thought I was before, but now I am, was really big. But I had a terrible pregnancy. I had gestational diabetes and I had pelvic girdle pain, which got so bad I like almost couldn't walk by the end. And then obviously she was born and she had congenital heart disease. And then that you have so many hormones raging around your body. I mean, you do anyway with PCOS, but yeah, so that was a really interesting experience, being pregnant, on my view of my body.
Yeah.
I definitely love it more now.
Interesting. Yeah, because nothing else matters. The size doesn't matter. It's about the healthy baby that you're growing and how amazing your body is doing. Like, it's a wonderful reminder of what amazing things our body can do, especially if you don't control it in a way that is restrictive only for aesthetic reasons.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And then since then, you took out the lesson, and then you've been more gentle with your body.
I have to remind myself a lot because of society and also because of the industry I'm in. And I feel like there have been lovely jobs where, as an actor, you fill out your sizes on a form and then they just get you clothes and the clothes fit, or if they don't fit, you feel fine with it. But then there have been other jobs where, sometimes if it is a period drama, not on my latest show, but sometimes if it is a period drama, they have specific costumes already. And because they're of the period, and if you don't fit into the costume they wanted for you, then you feel like the problem rather than the costume being the problem.
I see.
So there's a lot of interesting stuff around that. But I also think that's why, me, when I'm me, I have a really strong sense of fashion and design and what I like to wear. And so I think I don't have a stylist, possibly because I've had some difficult situations with acting and costume, that I'm like, no, I'm in charge of what I'm going to wear. I'm in charge of what size it's going to be or the way it's going to fit. And I'm going to decide what my kind of rainbow dress looks like today.
I love that. Thank you. Fantastic. I mean, we touched upon a lot of topics. Maybe what we anticipated earlier about, you kind of touched on it, about bisexuality being part of... today you said that you went to this conference and you talked about the intersection between being deaf and being bisexual. And I was like, that's interesting. Maybe we'll wrap up with the present Samantha.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to know what do they have in common, if they have anything. And then we can wrap up with the closing body scan and reconnecting with our body. And then...
Nice.
Yes. So tell us about today.
Yeah, it was interesting today because I did a speech and a talk, and it was about bisexuality, but also about being deaf and how the two are connected. And I've not really spoken very much about that before. And obviously I have my whole list of things that make me me, including divorce and ADHD and all those things. But I've never really connected the two. And I think it's interesting because deafness is an invisible disability. And bisexuality or sexuality is invisible, especially when you're bisexual. And like me, you're in a straight-facing relationship. So I'm in a relationship with a man. We love each other. We've had a baby. So outwardly, people might perceive me to be straight. Like outwardly, a lot of people perceive me to be hearing. And so you're constantly having to advocate and self-advocate for yourself and also disclose to people. So I'm constantly coming out as both deaf and bisexual. And I like to do that because I'm proud of both those things. And also a lot of people when I was in hospital with my daughter, I was talking to a medical professional and her dad wasn't there. And she was talking to me and she just assumed she hadn't met my partner. She assumed my partner was a man and she assumed that we were married. And we're not married as well because I got divorced before. I might get married one day, but not right now. And that's by choice. And so it frustrated me that she assumed that I was basically straight or that I must be with a man and I must be married to them. And she could obviously see my reaction. And then she said, or woman, whoever it is. And so I felt secretly pleased that she'd kind of checked her kind of stereotype, I guess. But then my partner did walk in and was a man. So I felt like she was like, well, but I constantly feel like I'm having to tell people and like confess to being deaf and bisexual. And actually people's reactions to both are interesting and different.
Okay.
So someone asked me earlier, is it easier to tell someone you're bisexual or is it easier to tell them that you're deaf? And I do recognise my privilege as a bisexual woman because a lot of bisexual men or non-binary people who are maybe dating a straight woman can have bad reactions to coming out as bisexual, and I have heard that a few times. Obviously, not all straight women are terrible. Some of them are nice. I was one for many years. No, I was always bisexual, but I was pretending to be straight. But when I come out as bisexual, it tends to be easier. Like people sort of go, okay, and carry on. Sometimes there's obviously the cliche things of like, oh, you're greedy. Oh, so you fancy everyone, or you're not really bisexual. You're just on your way to gay, and all of those sorts of things. But it tends to be, or once I got more of a gay vibe from you, as if like that was going to change my mind. I'd be like, oh yeah, you're right. Actually, I'm gay. But generally, people tend to go, okay, and move on. Whereas when I tell people I'm deaf, it seems to make them more flustered.
Okay.
And they don't necessarily know what to say. So they'll tend to say things like, you don't look deaf.
Okay.
You don't sound deaf, which is something we call the deaf accent. And a lot of hearing people assume that the deaf accent has to do with how deaf you are, like your level of deafness, but it doesn't. There are profoundly deaf people that don't have a deaf accent and some that do. And there's lots of other factors that come into why you'd have an accent or not. I went to drama school. So any accent is trained out of you. So they'll say, yeah, you don't look deaf, you don't sound deaf, or you never know. And I always find that one weird because it's like, I'm not trying to hide the fact I'm deaf. In fact, I've just told you, I wear hearing aids with jewellery. I've written 3 books. Like, I talk about it a lot. But I think people get flustered and say it as if, oh, I'm accepting of you and you're doing a good job. But actually, I'm proud to be deaf and I'm normally telling you I'm deaf, either because I'm proud of it or either so that you know that for accessibility reasons.
Yeah.
Like, make sure you're facing me when you talk, otherwise I might not be able to hear you.
Yeah.
So, So there are similarities. But for me, and recognising my privilege, I think deafness seems to be almost slightly harder to confess to.
Confess.
But I probably do it more. I probably tell people more I'm deaf because it affects the way that, that I need access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there, because when people don't expect, sometimes they don't know what to answer. And as you said, a lot of the time they answer things that are not really appropriate necessarily. Is there anything that you would not suggest they say, but like, is there anything that maybe it's okay that you prefer to hear when you say that? Like, if people here could take a tip and then learn for future, now we know what to avoid, but is there anything that you suggest that people can say when you come out to them?
Yeah. So, if it's fine to say like, oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Okay.
If you weren't, I wasn't aware of that. Thank you for telling me. Because, if you're deaf or disabled, it can take a lot of effort and confidence to be constantly kind of advocating for yourself and your accessibility needs. So thank you for telling me, because the person might, obviously I talk about it a lot, but some people might have had to build up to being able to say that in a workplace or wherever it is, a social occasion. So thank you for telling me. And then also let me know if there's anything I can do to make this situation easier, or make this meeting easier, or the party easier, or just let me know if there's anything I can do. And then just carry on chatting.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can, it's not, you don't have to ignore what they've just said. You can accept and receive, as we counsellors talk about, and then say, yeah, let me know if there's anything you need. And then that would be a lovely answer.
Lovely. Acknowledging and then offering any support if needed, and that's it. Without having to come up with something and freaking out that you don't know what to say. That's amazing. Thank you. Wow, so much advice and so much wisdom you shared with us today. I love it.
Don't know about wisdom, but thanks.
Come
I feel
on.
very wise now.
You are very wise. I love that so much. Thank you. Well, yeah, I mean, I would invite us to reconnect again with our body after all this conversation about different body parts.
Yes.
The ears, the ovaries, the belly, I love. So yeah, let's repropose the same exercise of the body scan. We can breathe together 3 times and then see if any other body part, if the left ovary has calmed down, if there is anything else.
We'll see.
We'll check in and then we say goodbye. Right, so we inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4. And exhale for 8. Again. And last one, and we exhale as long as we can. Inhale. Hold. And the longest exhale of the day. If you want to reclose your eyes for a second and recheck in.
I feel like my shoulders have lowered, like I've let go of stuff, and my cheeks are sore from smiling, which is nice.
Oh, amazing. And how are you feeling overall?
Okay, good. I feel so obviously I've had a full day of doing a talk and then coming here, and when you're in the hearing world and you are lip reading all day and sort of trying to hear, you get something called concentration fatigue. So I can feel that my eyes are tired.
Yeah.
But I feel relaxed, which is also maybe like, oh, I could go home and have a little cup of tea and a lie down.
Nice.
What about you?
My bladder is screaming, please go and have a pee.
Sorry, bladder.
Sorry, bladder, I'm going to do it as soon as we finish. But otherwise, I'm relaxed, and I also reflect on the fact that sometimes before we do these exercises, I start the episodes and I kind of like am all up in the air, And I hope that doesn't have an impact on the people listening the first 5 minutes and get them to like be put off, because then the conversation like today is like so beautiful, and I really hope that everyone has stayed till now and I got to know you better and is inspired by you as much as, or even more. I don't know if it's possible even more, but like as much as I got inspired by you. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It was
And
lovely.
thank you for being fabulous.
Thank you. It was lovely to meet you last week. It was lovely to talk to you today. And where do people can find you and find your work?
Yes, please follow me on Instagram at Samantha Baines. I'm also on like TikTok, Substack, YouTube. Got a website, samanthabaines.com. And my new designs are Baines_London on Instagram.
Amazing. And again, I will add all of these in the show notes so everyone can find them at any time.
Thanks.
Well, good luck with everything and thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.